I said, get out.
Are you kidding me?
My name is Jim White. I used to be a hot-headed coach. After one incident, I even threw a shoe at a player in a fit of rage, leading to my dismissal from the school. No big city schools dared to hire me, and with nowhere else to go, I found myself interviewing at McFarland High, one of the poorest towns in America. The principal, looking at my resume, was shocked. It was full of negative records, violent punishments, conflicts with the school board. I had to admit, I lost my temper. It should never have happened. Eventually, I got a job as an assistant football coach. However, the very first class was a mess. Mothers urgently pulled their children away for farm work, and some students even openly mocked my name. I tried my best to control my temper. There was a student named Johnny, too scrawny for football, who refused to run. During a game, he was knocked down twice, disoriented, yet the head coach wanted him to keep playing. For the sake of the student's safety, I firmly stopped him, which immediately put me at odds with the head coach. I realized that the students here were generally small-framed and simply not suited for football. Sure enough, the head coach complained to the principal, blaming me entirely for the loss and demanding my termination. Fortunately, the principal was wise and instead fired the complaining head coach. Despite the setbacks in my career, the residents of McFarland showed me warmth. A friendly Mexican, Big Mama, despite the language barrier, generously gifted me a hen as a welcome present. That day, I bought chicken feed and a soda for myself. Outside, I saw my students drinking tap water, and my heart sank a little. This was McFarland, the poorest agricultural town in America, predominantly populated by Mexican immigrants. These children started washing cars at 5 a.m., their small bodies enduring labor far beyond their years, yet they couldn't even afford a $2 soda. After washing cars all day, the exhausted students would climb into pickup trucks, heading to the farms for more work. For McFarland's kids, such weekends were the norm. From Monday to Friday, they'd wake before dawn, ride old pickup trucks, harvest, and pick under the scorching sun, sweat soaking their clothes. By school time, they'd rush to class. After school, they'd head back to the farm. Day after day, year after year, their lives seemed an endless cycle between farm and school. The words of an English teacher struck me like a hammer. Have you noticed the prison across from the school? These children seem destined from birth. They're born in the fields, and most likely, they'll return to the fields, or even end up in prison after graduation. I strongly felt that their fate shouldn't be like this. In PE class, I'd let the students run a few laps and then dismiss them. But it was these seemingly casual laps that revealed their astonishing talent. Though their test scores weren't great, they ran incredibly fast and had remarkable endurance. One day after school, driving home, I witnessed something incredible. A student skipping class was running faster than my car, even when I was going 20 miles per hour, about 32 kilometers per hour. This student, Thomas, was running at about 19 kilometers per hour, an average of 1.6 kilometers in 5 minutes, comparable to top marathon runners, and that was without professional training or gear. He himself didn't understand what this speed meant, just impatiently told me to stop following him, then turned and ran towards a farm. I went home and looked up past long-distance running data, finding that Thomas's speed would place him in the top 10 statewide. I proposed to the principal that we form a cross-country team and compete in the California State Cross-Country Championships. The principal was skeptical, viewing cross-country as an elite sport for private schools, and I wasn't a specialized coach. But I presented a notice. The Education Bureau had established 6 new sports programs, with dedicated funding for public schools, and cross-country was among them. The principal's attitude shifted. To recruit team members, I offered a soda to the top 4 finishers in a tryout, an irresistible incentive for kids used to drinking tap water. During the race, the talent of 4 students shone through. Afterward, I found Johnny, whom I had previously helped, and asked him to persuade other students to join, especially Thomas. Johnny didn't disappoint, patiently convincing Victor at his car repair shop, then hitching a ride with the 3 Mexican brothers to continue his persuasion. At the same time, I also took direct action. These students often had petty thieving habits. I made sure to show up when they got caught, helping them avoid punishment on the condition that they join the cross-country team. When I saw Thomas involved in a fight, I felt it was a good opportunity to convince him. With the principal's covert support, Thomas reluctantly joined. Thus, the 7-member team was officially formed. Victor was displeased with Fat Danny, thinking I was joking and that a heavy kid would be a burden to the team. but I saw Danny as a key player. Under my guidance, this young team left their footprints all over the town during training, becoming a bright spectacle. Time, however, was catching up to me. I gradually couldn't keep pace with their youthful energy. During a training break, I stopped by a grocery store, and the owner handed me a soda, not just a refreshing drink, but a silent commendation for my efforts. Even without my constant supervision, the kids showed incredible self-discipline. Danny, though slow, always gritted his teeth and pushed through to the finish line. Soon after, we entered the 1987 Palo Alto Invitational. I arranged for new running shoes and uniforms for the team, and this sudden surprise brought smiles to their faces. However, the privileged students from private high schools ganged up to discriminate against them, taunting, "Where the hell's McFarland?" Faced with their opponents' ridicule, they channeled their anger into motivation. The cross-country course was challenging, traversing various complex terrains. Thomas, fueled by a surge of determination, pushed hard on the sand, trying to overtake his rivals, but was obstructed by other athletes. In a fit of anger, he pushed aside an opponent and sprinted with all his might, yet the continuous uphill stretches became an insurmountable barrier. These kids, accustomed to running on flat ground, were completely unsuited for mountain courses. Thomas, the strongest, was overtaken one by one, and other team members fell to the back. When the race ended, McFarland suffered a devastating defeat, becoming the only team to score over triple digits. On the way back, I took off my sunglasses and sincerely apologized to the kids. This loss wasn't their fault. It was mine for not scouting the course beforehand. Their potential was far greater, and their future would be brighter. Learning from our mistakes, I began training the team in mountain running techniques. McFarland had no mountains, so I used piles of almonds as our mountains, making them run them repeatedly until they no longer feared hills, and even felt excited at the sight of them. Just one round, and Danny was almost collapsing from exhaustion. However, Thomas began to question the high-intensity training, and eventually, he decided to quit. Distraught, I returned home, only to realize I had missed my daughter's 6 p.m. birthday and forgotten to pick up her cake. I simply said happy birthday, but it wasn't enough to appease her. She locked herself in her room, crying. I drove alone through the night and unexpectedly found Thomas sitting on a bridge railing, bruised. It turned out that Thomas's father, distraught over his underage daughter's unexpected pregnancy, was punching the walls, and Thomas had been accidentally hurt trying to stop him. To calm him, I confided about my own daughter shutting me out, but he still wouldn't come down. So I changed my approach. If you jump from here, you won't die, but your legs will be crippled. Then you won't only be a burden to your family, but you won't be able to run, which you love. After much persuasion, Thomas abandoned his suicidal thoughts. I understood then that cross-country was my ticket back to the big city, but for these kids, it was their only way out in life. I asked Thomas if he still wanted to continue, and he nodded. On the way home, I picked a red rose from a rose garden and placed it at my daughter's door, hoping to make amends. To help the team achieve good results in cross-country, I dedicated myself to studying cross-country theory, then taught it to them without reservation. In a school dual meet, McFarland faced strong opponents. I gathered the team, bolstering their confidence. As the race began, McFarland initially fell behind, but our key runner, Thomas, remained calm. This was my strategy to conserve energy for the end. With 100 meters left to the finish, Thomas sprinted relentlessly, overtaking opponents and crossing the finish line first. Even Danny, usually last, finished simultaneously with an opponent. Ultimately, McFarland won its first race by a single point. However, the very next day, the 3 Diaz brothers left the team due to heavy farm work at home. I decided to visit their house to understand the situation. Their mother invited me to eat, offering the best food their family had. It wasn't until I was leaving that I had a chance to speak with the brothers' father. He cut me off directly, candidly stating that cross-country wasn't a necessity for their family. Every hour the 3 sons spent training meant 1 less hour of farm work and 1 less hour of income for the family. "I don't expect like you to understand," he said. He thought this attitude would deter me, but to his surprise, I joined them in their truck at dawn the next day, heading to the farm. I followed the children into the fields and helped them harvest cabbage under the scorching sun. Half a day of labor left me utterly exhausted, my back aching. It was then that I truly understood the hardships these children faced, and this only strengthened my resolve to help them run their way out of this life. During lunch, I discussed with the children about scheduling training after farm work. I also offered to help on weekends and come early for harvesting on race days to ensure training wasn't disrupted. This sincerity moved the parents, and training resumed. Afterward, McFarland went from strength to strength, defeating 2 strong teams consecutively and even making it into the newspapers. The English teacher read an essay written by one of the team members, Mexicans. When our fly, we speak to the gods. When we run, we are gods. I not only taught the children to run, but also helped them find confidence and realize their own value. In the first light of dawn, the Mexican immigrants organized a fundraising event for the cross-country team. Everyone generously contributed, and the children finally had professional running gear. With upgraded equipment, the team's training went even more smoothly. I told the team that if we kept winning, we would have a chance to advance to the state championships. But I couldn't win for them on the track. To win, they had to believe in themselves and trust each other. On the eve of the crucial final qualifying race, I brought out college admission brochures, encouraging the team, if you can make it to the state championships, your lives will change completely. College is a treasure trove of knowledge, a stepping stone to dreams. It can empower you and bring hope to your families.
But when Thomas told his father about this idea, his father believed that studying would only ruin his eyes and that farm work didn't require books. Despite not having his father's support, the team had become the pride of the town. The final showdown of the state qualifiers arrived. We just needed to finish in the top 4 to advance. Just then, I received an invitation from a prestigious high school, a dream job
Opportunity. I hesitated, secretly tucking the business card into my pocket, then went to encourage the nervous children. As the starting gun fired, the race began. All their hard training paid off at this moment. Despite the rugged course, Thomas maintained his lead, and the other team members followed closely. The uphill paths that once filled them with dread now became stepping stones to overtake opponents. Running countless times on the small hills made of almond piles was all to conquer this metaphorical mountain of class disparity. Thomas was the first to ascend the big slope, but he stumbled on the final stretch before the finish line. He quickly got up and chased, but still lost his advantage, ultimately securing only second place. This filled him with self-reproach. I was also very worried. Our performance wasn't what we had hoped for. As the rest of the team members gradually crossed the finish line, the referees began announcing the rankings. When McFarland's name appeared in the 4th position, everyone's anxious hearts finally settled. Fate, after all, had not let down those who gave their all. After the race, I didn't go straight home. Instead, I took the children to the coast, something McFarland didn't have. But the entrance fee was $9, and I only had 5. I explained to the security guard that these 7 kids in the back had never seen the ocean, and today was their only chance. Seeing the children's expectant faces, the guard didn't hesitate and waived the fee. It was the first time these children had seen the world beyond their town. The ocean under the sunset shimmered with warm golden light, as if rewarding them for all their tireless running, and their laughter echoed in the twilight. To thank me, the town residents spontaneously organized a coming-of-age ceremony, quinceañera, for my daughter. I finally had a chance to make up for my shortcomings as a father. Victor's uncle drove my daughter around, but they encountered an accident on the way. Victor's uncle ran into old rivals from his past. Despite his changed ways, they wouldn't let him go. I received the call and immediately rushed to the scene with my wife. Seeing the large scrapes on my daughter's legs, I angrily reprimanded the team. Faced with the poor public safety in the town, this incident made me reconsider leaving again. The next day, with mixed feelings, I went to Palo Alto High School for an interview. This school had an elegant environment, advanced facilities, and the administration treated me with great respect, even offering me the position of athletic director. I decided to take the job after the semester. However, my daughter didn't want to leave McFarland and told Thomas the news. Thomas, though a little disappointed, understood. I was conflicted once more. My wife reminded me that night how the team members had bravely protected our daughter, and her scrapes were accidental. If we went somewhere else, would anyone else protect your daughter like that? My wife's words made me reflect. Although McFarland was poor, the community was simple and warm. It felt like a real home here. The state championship arrived as scheduled. All the teachers and town residents came to see the children off. Even the store, which hadn't closed in 25 years, shut its doors. Everyone came to cheer them on, hoping the children would bring home a trophy for McFarland. Before the race, Danny was trembling from nervousness, facing the grand scene. Yet, he did not back down. As the national anthem
Played, memories of my time with the team in McFarland flashed through my mind. These past moments were irreplaceable. I already had my answer. I gathered the team and said, "You're about to face the state's top athletes, but they haven't experienced working in the fields at dawn, nor the hardship of running back to the farm after school. I've worked in Little Fatty's, Danny's, family fields. It was the hardest
thing I've ever done in my life. Your hardships are unimaginable to them. Your parents have dedicated their lives hoping you could break free from this confined world, no longer trapped by poverty and labor. And now, this is the best chance to change that." The referee's gun fired, and the top athletes from 12 high schools began a fierce competition. Teammate Jose was too excited and sprinted with all his might from the start, forgetting my strategy of conserving energy for later, and quickly ran out of stamina. His teammates noticed his condition and immediately accelerated to catch up. In a tunnel, Thomas glanced back at the darkness, then resolutely ran towards the light ahead. The race entered its final sprint phase. McFarland's Thomas was the first to appear in the spectators' view, but an opponent suddenly surged, putting him in second place. With the finish line in sight, an exhausted Thomas mustered his last bit of strength and surged towards the finish line, ultimately securing first place. However, the team's overall situation was not optimistic. Our second-best scorer was a minute slower than usual, and victory seemed uncertain. Just as I despaired, Thomas pointed to the distance, and an unexpected figure emerged from the crowd, Danny. The usually underestimated Danny, at this crucial moment, shone like a brilliant star. Before, everyone's attention was on Thomas, not noticing that little Fatty had been improving every race. Now he unleashed his full potential, overtaking opponent after opponent, with the roar of the crowd like a surging tide. The moment he crossed the finish line, Danny collapsed to the ground. It was Danny's all-out effort that earned McFarland High School an unexpectedly good result. As everyone was immersed in the joy of victory, I walked towards a group of people, not to accept a job offer, but to express my apologies. Faced with the tempting high-paying job, I ultimately chose to stay in McFarland, to sow the seeds of hope in this once desolate land. This is a true story. After the cross-country team first won the state championship, I continued coaching for 14 more years, leading McFarland High School to win 9 state titles. I used cross-country running to change the fates of 7 children. They all went on to ideal universities. They did not forget the land that nurtured them, but instead continued to pass on the torch of hope. Some later became police officers, some became journalists, some became teachers, and they all, without exception, returned to their hometowns to contribute to its development. Running allowed them to transcend their ordinary lives and break free from the shackles of fate. In the swirling dust, we saw the indomitable spirit of life, the continuation of hope. With pure hearts, they traversed the wisdom of destiny, taking root in barren soil, transforming sweat into the courage to break through, each step in the mud like a shining blade, cutting through worldly thorns. When the finish line becomes a flowing chasm, they finally understand that life's most beautiful anthem is never on a smooth path, but in the trembling choice to keep running even after falling and scraping their knees. When one knows the mountains and seas are vast yet dares to escape the reverence of madness, when the soul is forged in the crucible of adversity, when every footprint bears the mark, I once lived like this. Even specks of dust can radiate divine glory.